What's up, upstanders? Dr. O here. And in the latest Call a Thing chronicles that we're talking about, we have to take seriously the idea that Trump is planning for a third presidency, which would ultimately make him a king. The fact of the matter is, there are so many parallels to this man and Hitler that people just didn't want to pay attention to because they wanted to make Hitler the name that couldn't be said, the name that was Voldemort, like you just don't speak the name because we're not there. But rather than focus on what Hitler was at the end of his life, people need to talk about the person Hitler became, the whole process. And Trump is following the Nazi playbook, and part of the things he wants to do is stay in power. And while people are sitting there making jokes about this, just like with Project 2025, which was a written 900 plus page document and was put out to the world, there are people within Trump's world making policies or making plans for him to stay in power. That is a fact. How long are y'all going to take? Are you all going to not take this man seriously? Took many of y'all in the media years to even call him a liar for all of the things that he put out. Now he actually has a Gestapo. I mean, Tim Miller talked about that. Are people, is anyone out there using Gestapo as part of description of what he's doing as it relates to these students and the like? But people will say, well, the Gestapo, they were killing people. They were shooting them and dumping them into mass graves, and they had the power to do this and so on and so forth. Yeah, all of that's true. And my response to that is that, as far as we know, Trump is not there yet, but he's moving there. When you read on websites like Britannica, say the Gestapo operated without civil restraints. It had the authority of quote unquote preventive arrest, and its actions were not subject to judicial appeal. Does this sound familiar? Thousands of leftists, intellectuals, Jews, trade unionists, political clergy, and homosexuals simply disappeared into concentration camps after being arrested by the Gestapo. And what's one of the guys who's in that El Salvadorian prison right now? A gay barber. No one has talked about whether he's Jewish or not, but if he's not, meets the criteria, he didn't have to be Jewish. Secret police, no judicial appeals. Look how Trump's ignoring the courts. Look how judges have said, don't shift off the planes, ship off the planes. Is this not operating in secret? Preventive arrest. When you look at the student at Tufts University, Mahmoud Khalil, and all of this, what did they do? Are we gonna? Is this like the precogs in that Tom Cruise movie, Minority Report? Or people predict that a crime is gonna happen, and therefore these people get arrested? No, because these individuals didn't commit any crimes. They had no history of crimes. They wrote op-eds. In Colombia, Khalil was suggested by leadership at Colombia as a person to make these negotiations, but they've been disappeared and sent to detention centers, and some sent to the concentration camps of El Salvador. Stop calling them jails, call them concentration camps. Look what's happening. Call a thing a thing. This is real. This is a development of an American Gestapo. We talk about, the brown shirts during, Nazi Germany. Look at the guys Trump's sending out there with the black shirts and the masks and so on and so forth. Have no idea who these people are. They could be your neighbors. They could be sitting next to you at the club, at church. No idea. And so y'all really going to see these things happening and say that this man doesn't want to stay president, knowing that there are still potential trials that could put him in prison after he leaves the office? The man does not believe in the Constitution. His followers do not believe in the Constitution. And just like people didn't take Hitler seriously, just like Hitler didn't win with more than a third of the vote, this man is working to become America's Hitler. He's working to become a king. And if we don't know the history, if we don't learn the history, we are doomed to repeat it or rhyme with it, however you want. Y'all in the media, stop joking about this. Stop having pundits on and say, well, yeah, I saw someone as I was preparing for this said, oh, yeah, maybe, what's his name? Vance could be president, have Don Jr. in, but then really, like, they're working on all of it. How many of y'all actually thought that the things that are happening with Project 2025 could never happen in our government? Or how many of y'all thought that things could, or know people who thought that what was talked about in Project 2025 with Russell Vogt and these guys could never happen? Look at yourselves right now as a country. Look at us. This is real, and this is his plan, and it needs to be fought. And just like Representative Jayapal in Seattle is organizing people to be part of the resistance, that's what needs to happen. Resistance needs to happen. Fighting this needs to happen. Calling all of this out needs to happen. And so for y'all politicians, pundits, and all of that, oh, it's just Trump being Trump. I mean, literally, the guy is just saying, I'm considering it, like it's actually supposed to be an option. And people are like, well, that's just Trump being Trump. Oh yeah, he's just joking. When he came in office, the whole idea was, well, this is his final term, so we don't really have to worry about him anymore. On day one, he was talking about a third term. You guys are out of your minds if you think that this is a joke. If you think that you don't think what he's doing to destroy the whole postal service is, to affect ballots and all of these different types of things, to take control, trying to take federal control of electoral processes. And these are the guys who believed in states' rights. They didn't never believed in states' rights. We knew that was a joke. It would be so, it's so disgraceful and disappointing what's already happening. But if we let this person become a king simply because we didn't take it seriously until it was too late, then this country really is getting what it deserves. If people are gonna really not learn the lessons of history, take this guy as a joke, everything that he's done and is still doing. And one of the challenges is, like, every time I see people in many of these mainstream media outlets talk about Trump now, they actually, you don't see many of these guys even talk about his blatant racism, his blatant misogyny, and how he came to power as part of that twin idea. Everyone's just talking about the economy as if it's just an economic argument. They don't want to talk about him and Vance partnering with people like the ADF or the AFD, in Germany, and other like neo-Nazi organizations, and partnering with the Orbans and all these other types of things. They just want to talk about this in purely political and economic terms. And if you think this man won't become king and he does, who do you think he's going to be targeting? Who do you think his Gestapo forces are going to be coming after on a deeper level? It ain't just going to be people who aren't U.S. citizens. I can guarantee you they won't release the names of people in El Salvador, but it wouldn't be surprised to me if there was already U.S. citizens there. Permanent residents are there, like the father in my state of Maryland. Wake up, America. You have to wake up, and you have to wake up now. Madeleine Albright warned us about it. Rest in peace. Like, but hey, this is why we don't teach history in schools. This is why we're not teaching people to learn how to think critically. So when these things happen, people can, have their pearl clutching moments as if this hasn't happened all throughout history. Trump wants to be king. Trump and his people are actively seeking out ways to have a third term. This is a man who ran and said, vote for me. This will be the last time you'll have to vote. Said, you don't even have to worry about it. This is his plan. How foolish can you be to believe otherwise? And this is the time to fortify our systems. This is the time to organize protests. This is the time to, make sure Democrats continue fighting in every way, shape, and possible, and get their more permission structures from the people to do this. America needs to stand up, period, bottom line. Do not lose the lessons from history. This is not a joke. As many people have said on other things, this is a 5-alarm fire. So much has already been destroyed as we know it, and he plans to do more. As the late, great Dr. Joe Madison said, what are you going to do about it?